Before we begin, I want to confess a little bit of something. I was really unsatisfied with last year's list, by that I mean 2016's list. It's not that it was really all that bad, but I felt it was ultimately lacking. And in my attempt to do more to make my content slightly better, I want to try something different with this year's list, 2017 to be specific, even though it's coming out in 2018. I want to break the list down into semi-smaller list, based upon what I think are the defining genres of different anime. Action, comedy, drama, and finally, ecchi series are what I personally see are the four key anime genres, and that's how I'll be breaking down this year's list. Now, the best list. Now, I know a lot of anime fall into multiple genres at once, but basically, I feel if it belongs more in one genre or one section than another, I'll be putting it in that genre or section. For example, despite it having a lot of action-packed moments and a lot of actiony points and some serious drama at heart, Gintama is primarily a comedy anime, so it would fall more into comedy than anything else. With that said, the first part of this best list will be the worst anime of the year, 2017 I mean, as for the rest of this video. Because that's the whole little special quality, and I honestly want to talk about some of these bad anime that came out this year. Number one of the worst, we have Handshakers. I originally recommended this series as a sort of odd curiosity due to its art style. I mean, could you blame me? 3D animation in anime is actually doing quite well. 2017 was actually a really good year for 3D animation in anime. Even with some of its jankier points, it has potential to be interesting. But Handshakers is probably one of the accidentally ugliest anime I've ever seen, and that's thanks to its odd CGI effects and the character animation on screen. I mean, literally one character, every time she moves, her breasts seem to jiggle for no reason at all. Overall, if I had to say anything positive, it would be that it does progress humanity in the field of jiggle physics. Aside from that, it's a pretty forgettable piece of entertainment that honestly, you probably would not only mention it as some kind of weird anime trivia thing, or in the worst of the year list. Number two of the worst is Akashic Records of a Bastard Teacher. Man, this is a very boring anime. This one is pretty standard, and it pretty much goes from dull to in a matter of minutes. It goes from pretty okay to dull in a matter of minutes, honestly. I bet just looking at the poster and title, you can get a grasp of the overall plot. Honestly, the moment I saw those school uniforms, I pretty much became obvious to me what the entire purpose of the series was. Cute girls, waifus, and anime figure sales. I mean, what school uniform has a skirt that short and comes with an exposed belly button? From the moment I paid attention to that little detail, it immediately broke the immersion for me. Yes, the school uniforms broke my anime immersion. Aside from that, it's another forgettable anime with very little fanfare and not much to bring attention to. I mean, if you want cute girl anime, if you want cute girls in action scenes, you can get any other anime for that. I can honestly recommend you probably 10 or so more way better than this one. Honestly, that's probably a list all its own. Knights and Magic. This is honestly the biggest question I have for this series. Why is this an isekai series or Life in Another World series? Honestly, aside from one minor note at the very beginning, there isn't really much of a reason to be. But I bet you're gonna ask, but why would he have his passion for robots then? Well, it's already set up. They're giant robots in the world filled with magic, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be impressive no matter what you do. And his father in this world is a pilot of one. So again, it's pretty much set up from the beginning that he would have an interest in these things. You really didn't need the isekai element in there at all. If I had to say anything, this series suffers because it is an isekai series. It just kind of blends into the pile of isekai that's out there. It honestly hurt whatever potential this series had from the onset by being another isekai series. Again, the only thing that sets it apart from other isekai is just the giant robots. And another point I want to mention is how terrible the English title is in terms of its grammar. The only thing I can really compliment on is this animation used for the robots, but considering the fact that the animation team that did this series also would do Land of the Lustrous later in the year, that makes a lot of sense. Although Land of the Lustrous isn't on this list because it's good but not too good. In Another World with My Smartphone is number 4, and this is what I see as the personally worst anime of 2017. And yes, it is another isekai series. Man, this series got kind of overblown this year. If I had to sum up my overall opinion on this, it would be that the main character and everything surrounding him is ultimately just pretty dull and boring. He basically has little to no personality, motivation, or drive for any of his actions, aside from just maintaining his own well being. And that's pretty much it. He's never given any personal motive outside of make living to do anything. He just does things for whatever reason. I mean, it's a bit of a joke. I mean, there's a bit something to give him a bit of character, and the fact that he's kind of a pervert, but it's not really that much of an expressed thing. It's just that he occasionally wants to go hunt slimes because they melt clothing. And it just leads to a rather mediocre joke about slimes and boobs, and it's still a dull joke. That's not even that much fan service in the end until it fails flat in his face. And on top of that, it's like he has such little personality, he manages to become a complete shell that only moves because the plot tells him to. And the worst part of it is, this is a harem series, so of course you can cite the bland main character and focus on the girls. But somehow they managed to screw up that aspect of a harem series. Like, they all start off having their own personalities, their own beliefs, hopes, dreams for the future, all that kind of stuff. But as soon as they start chasing after the main character, they lose pretty much all their personality points, instead all becoming the same kind of clingy, jealous girl in anime tropes. It's dumb and dull. Overall, this is the weakest harem series I've ever seen. If this is one of the weakest, if not the weakest harem series I've ever seen. And I honestly couldn't imagine how one of these, as a harem series or as an isekai series, could be any worse. And don't tell me I hate this one because the smartphone gimmick is stupid. It is pretty stupid, but I'll buy it. I just find a lot of stuff really dumb about this anime. And finally, number 5, we have Black Clover. While Smartphone might be the worst anime of the year of 2017 for me, Black Clover is ultimately the most disappointing. I'm honestly a fan of the Black Clover manga. When I heard it was getting an anime, I was getting excited for it. And then I happened to see the anime. And man, did they mess with everything when they changed mediums. Studio Pierrot, who did this anime, is more famous for doing like some Naruto or Yu Yu Hakusho. And they're kind of stuck in the mindset that they were when they were doing those older shows. Instead of doing like what some of the newer Shonen Jump adaptations have done and taking breaks so the manga has time to produce more content, here they just keep moving forward and add in filler content like it's Naruto. And because of that, one of the strongest points of the manga, its excellent pacing, is ruined in the anime. Hell, they stretch out parts so that the first few chapters are literally the first few episodes of the anime. And while I can see the first chapter being the first episode, from there on it's like every episode should be 2 or 3 chapters, but instead it feels like every episode is 1.5 chapters. Or half a chapter in some cases. Because they have to fill in space. And of course, the whole issue with Asa's voice acting. While the VAs for Miyazaki isn't inaccurate to the character, it is pretty annoying. I will compliment some of the action scenes as looking pretty cool, but aside from that, it's just another disappointing anime. And the anime disappointed me most in the year, ruining a good series with poor adaptation. There's honestly a lot more to talk about with this one, but I think that's saved for another video, if it hasn't been done already by someone else.